Act 3, Everything is Sound. Greetings to all of you around this world and beyond. T. Sakla here, and although I have hours upon hours of additional footage and audio prepared to share, outlining things such as how to film and detect holographic projections in the sky as well as the technology behind it, something simply miraculous transpired this past weekend in which all of these dark secrets, all of my experience and subsequent knowledge gained has led to a discovery of pure wonder and imagination, and I mean this in a literal sense. But quickly, as I presume inquiring minds want to know, regarding the how of holographic technology in the sky. It has already been clearly demonstrated that the chemtrail phenomena and false cloud formations in the sky consist of liquid crystalline substances, yes, the very same substances used in high-definition displays and devices. To recap, these crystals, even visible to the naked eye in the sky, can be seen transitioning from nematic to smectic states, thus they take on a quote-unquote, static-like appearance, somewhat like squiggly sperm being aligned into a grid formation in the sky. For fuck's sake, who would have ever thought our race would be assaulted in the skies via substances which resemble sperm? Paris Hilton perhaps? Remember, it is upon the introduction of an electric or magnetic field, both inherent to the Earth, that these extraordinary substances form into waveguides and polarize electromagnetic frequencies. If you take note of the visual appearance of these misty substances during the day, they take on a crystal clean appearance, so pure in white it would even make Sean Patrick Flannery as powder, an endearing film mind you, actually look tan if you were in contrast to it. Keep in mind these crystallines are merely taking on the appearance of the frequencies they are channeling. Better put, we are picking up on the frequency spectrum we can tune into, which is visible light, thus during the day where the full visible light spectrum is penetrating the Earth's atmosphere, these structures will appear pure white. What happens during periods in which varying wavelengths of light are dominant? Well, these chemtrails and cloud formations take on the color of the corresponding light, such as bright pink or orange at sunrise and sunset. For the rapidly shrinking naysayers and trollers out there, it is physically impossible for a normal contrail to refract and channel the specific electromagnetic frequencies emitted from the sun. Anyhow, back to the holographic capability. Once this virtual plasma screen has been aligned in the sky, all that needs to happen is to refract light between 2 points, such as shining a light from A to B on a sheet of glass to project a desired image. Sure, the resolution and consistency isn't going to be all that great, but it does the job. This is why the fuzzy appearance of these quote-unquote planes in the sky. This is why they at times fade completely out of view, only to reappear as a ghost plane. Just one last thing. If you are familiar with the visual feature edge detection, which highlights variants of physical properties of the environment via changes in material properties, density, etc., you can use this feature to not only differentiate liquid crystal formations from natural ones, but you can pick up on all sorts of goodies that are faint to the eye. I have noticed in most every shot I have taken of craft which appear holographic in nature, when viewed in edge detection something remarkable materializes. In short, there are usually 4 orb structures present, one in the front, back, and on each wingtip. This 100% corresponds to what I have been speculating all along, that once these orbs are gliding on this plasma grid, all they need to do is project light between the points and presto, virtual representation of whatever holographic image intended. On top of that, these quote-unquote stars, planets, moons, supermoons, and super-duper moons, upon performing any sort of inspection, it is entirely obvious these objects are coated in liquid crystals, like a giant plasma screen in the sky. Want to know how to project a holographic image in the sky, such as the moon? Simply fly a frickin' giant LCD screen up there and project down whatever you want. The capability is so obvious, this is likely why it's been so overlooked. But let's get back to the good stuff, and I mean this is as good as it gets. What if I told you the key to all of this is to lose our minds? That's right, the key to self-discovery is losing your mind. My journey has reached a pivotal point, one which is going to challenge all that we know to the core, but one which will embrace what we feel to the core. In fact, this in many ways sums up the past 14 months of mind-boggling experience, in which still to this day when introduced to the knowledge I am sharing many individuals are inclined to respond with labeling, that I have somehow lost my mind. Well, I figured it out, and all of those individuals who have been saying this are actually correct. Now I obviously have not lost my mind to the fullest, but I have learned to let go, in which something of pure wonder and magic has been brought to light. Early on in my experience I underwent a rude introduction to an otherworldly presence dominating the world around us, in the midst of executing a plot to literally irradiate and mutate the human race via an onslaught of sonic and EMF frequencies subconsciously embedded in just about everything around us, in just about every method imaginable. Acceptance to this truth required repeated upchucking of what I had considered lifelong understandings of this reality. A complete breakdown of what I had been conditioned to believe was within the realms of possibility. Despite having cues to this presence during a number of experiences prior, and despite this force swarming me in methods that challenged the imagination for many weeks, it took major soul-searching to accept this startling yet undeniable truth. Why? Because despite me knowing full well in my heart the true nature of the events unfolding, my mind was challenging it every step of the way, as it should by design, as the events unfolding are completely illogical, transpiring in a world which has been methodically crafted upon the limitations of logic. Next came an assault with sonic frequencies from land and air. Again, despite knowing full well the nature of this attack, my mind challenged this every step of the way as it simply seemed impossible this was happening to me, and in a broader sense affecting the entire world around us. And then came the sounds of quote-unquote, nature. Who would ever consider with the logical mind that sounds of nature could be leveraged as part of a subconscious assault on the human mind and spirit? Yes, there were vast numbers of incredible synchronistic events which connected me to remarkable bouts of knowledge and experience, but in the end the only path to acceptance and subsequently truth was letting go of the barriers existing in my mind. Of course I could go on for hours about how these barriers have been systematically constructed for centuries in the human collective, but the importance here is to recognize the ongoing conflict between logic and truth, rationality and intuition, mind and heart. Next came about the physical changes to my body. Again, something which defied all logic, and in many regards challenged what is considered within the realms of possibility. Yet the ongoing inner struggle eventually led to acceptance along with an understanding of the 10 or so precise physical symptoms of onset. I could go on detailing out thousands of these sorts of instances where mind challenged heart, even going back to the point in time not so long ago where I began opening up to alternative theories around 9/11, which required consideration of unthinkable betrayal performed by the country I love. Still to this day, at times I find my mind challenging things I know or feel to be true. Was it logical or rational to first go public with all of this just over a year ago, knowing full well it was going to tear apart my personal and professional status and ego, subjecting myself to intense ridicule, labeling, and suppression from this dark force? Of course not, so why did I do it? I followed my heart, thus the crux of all of this. In the thousands of puzzle pieces I have been able to put together with regard to this, many times with a blindfold on, the commonality is the path to truth has not been by critical thinking and trying to rationalize the events that are unfolding in order to come up with a logical conclusion. It's been the exact opposite, to go with what is felt from within, to follow the path of the heart. And you know what, the heart has performed magic, putting together puzzle pieces of mind-blowing complexity, at a speed I could have never imagined. Genius is not about how intelligent you are, it's a matter of how willing you are to letting the barriers within the mind go. For decades there has been all sorts of speculation as to the makeup of chemtrails. I didn't even know what a chemtrail was less than a year ago, yet through a remarkable string of events I was led to uncovering their precise makeup, liquid crystals, how to prove this via overwhelming scientific observation, how to film and differentiate these substances in the sky, how they enable holographic technology, along with the motive, science, and physics of how these substances are being used to enable EMF and solar radiation to more freely penetrate the Earth's atmosphere. Does anyone truly think it is the mind that was able to decipher all of this in such a momentary blip of time? Of course not. So the question is how? This example can be spread across to most everything I have been enlightened to. I now understand one of the primary gifts we have been given is knowledge to tap into a force within us of extraordinary potential and discovery. Some may refer to this as some quote-unquote psychic ability. I call it the real human, the long-lost human, and we are remembering. I have so much more to share in regards to this in due time, but for now just recognize this is entirely real and available to everyone. The key is to resonate unwavering intent in the form of pure love, but you need to be willing to go the distance regardless of where it may take you. When my experience began, it essentially involved an intense inner battle to purge out dark influence which I knew to be seducing personal behaviors which went against everything that I stood for. It was like a piece of dark tape stuck on a 100-watt bulb, or perhaps better stated, it was like farting in church and the conventional method of taking Pepto-Bismol wasn't working. But I recognized that it is only in darkness where light can shine the fullest. I channeled my intent deeply, looking inward for answers while asking for assistance from the light present in this universe. In doing so, I took full acceptance while highlighting the fact that I understood why I was to go through this inner conflict, to reach a point of self-awareness, purging myself of guilt, fear, while developing unwavering faith. In other words, this is all part of the human experience, which in spite of periodic bouts of misjudgment, the culmination of my experience had molded me into the being I was then, and am today, in which I wouldn't change a thing. I professed my full appreciation for this life experience, to be in such a position of gaining personal and spiritual enlightenment, and called out for guidance and support, literally and metaphorically asking for quote-unquote, any destructive mind programs within me to be purged. In parallel, any awareness I was to gain was to be taken in through the heart but not to be kept there. Years prior I underwent my first bout of simply extraordinary synchronicity, upon which the crux of the message was to write it down, tell the world. It's all related. For years I had been offering myself up for spiritual service upon enlightenment, to bring light into this world as I felt needed to be done, openly professing acknowledgement of this world needing to change in a radical manner, even going as far as outlining the need to unify our belief sets and religions to one of openness and infinite possibility. Something within me was awakening well before my conscious mind was telling me of this. You see, when we resonate from the heart, we emit the purest of vibrational frequency. Our ancient ancestors knew this, and obviously this is secret knowledge kept to a few in this world. Thus we are being blasted with disruptive frequencies, many in the form of a D-sharp, to throw off our natural resonance. But this resonance is a form of an unspoken language. This is how prayers are offered, and this is how they are in turn heard by forces of light. We can speak with our hearts, and you all need to know this is available to each and every one of you. This is not about praying to the quote-unquote correct God out there. It's not about picking up a collection of texts and professing your faith and devotion to the one and only Savior. It's about the manner in which those prayers are offered, and it's not about offering them from the mind. It's about resonating your intent from the heart, in which that resonance will be picked up from angelic forces who speak the same language. This is the commonality we all inherently share, between us, the forces of light, and the divine presence. But believe it or not, this isn't the most powerful aspect of what I have to share. As I have detailed out in other videos, we are indeed being assaulted with sonic patterns, many disguised in the form of background tones in music, synthesized sounds, and even in nature, birds, locusts, crickets, etc. We are being offered guidance in the most profound of methods. Messages woven together by benevolent forces in the form of vibration and words. As indicated prior, my experience in many ways has been an internal battle between heart and mind. The rational mind challenges possibility by quote-unquote computing an interpretation of events or possible outcome based upon laws, our perception of possibilities, etc., that have been ingrained, or in other words programmed into our minds. Most every discovery I have made, particularly when it comes to discovery within myself, has required the utmost challenge of letting go of the mind limitations, and following my heart down a particular path regardless of how many times my mind would cast doubt, generate a sense of fear or distrust, etc. I again bring up the first time I went public with all of this, in which I painstakingly set aside 37 years of a rational mind, setting aside the fact that doing this was absolutely going to blow a rapidly accelerating career in upper management, instead following what I knew to be true, doing what I knew to be right in my heart. When I was assaulted with high-pitched frequencies, it obviously was not only an absolute shock, but turned me off to quote-unquote sound immediately. I was gun-shy to listen to most everything, and of course being exposed to high doses of noise put me on guard. When quote-unquote birds began stalking me resonating the same disruptive frequencies, I reacted the same way. The logical mind obviously concluded that high-pitched frequencies, including the chirping of birds, all of which I understood were contributing to this sonic attack, were leading to destructive effects. But as the days went on and I continued to sift through manipulation while embracing messages of light, my heart started indicating otherwise. Here comes the first hopeful transmission in the form of music, Coldplay's Hurts Like Heaven. How poignant the lyrics were, in which Hurts Like Heaven could very well have been a self-given title to my own experience. Although I embraced the words, I still was hesitant with the tones and sound, as many of them in Milo Xyloto are similar to the ear tones, that is Morse code beeping, that is part of this frequency attack. For months my mind was telling me to distrust it, while my heart was embracing it. Over the past month or so I've embraced my heart, and to my amazement the tones present in Milo Xyloto literally counteract the negative frequencies around us. Deep down I already knew this to be the case, so whether this is physically cancelling them out or internally from the heart, it's irrelevant as the outcome is the same. Now a few songs come to mind, Coldplay's Major, Minor, which is exactly what this is about. The disruptive resonance is a minor tone and the natural, soulful one is a major. Then comes Coldplay's song, Up With the Birds, in which it talks about how the birds are singing in a choir, then they later start again a little higher. Interestingly enough, as I was opening myself up to fully trusting and embracing from the heart, the birds around me truly began to sound a little higher in pitch. Soon after I listened to the song, Everything Is Sound, by Jason Mraz, music I had never listened to before, being led more as by synchronicity. It's all about sound vibration, from the heart, in solfeggio chakra tones, and there is a line where he states, you need to harmonize with birds. This all has happened in extraordinary and divine fashion, all in the last few days. You see, this is the key, these disruptive frequencies planted everywhere are to suppress the human heart and soul, while our minds have been conditioned to suppress our own and others' hearts and souls, and when this is untapped in the purest form, the heart can not only lead to extraordinary feats and knowledge, but can physically change the world we live in. As I had already isolated the disruptive frequencies embedded all around us to that of a D sharp, I decided to try and isolate the pitch in the Coldplay music. Last week I was playing on a keyboard on the iPad, and was fiddling around trying to find the particular note. I was close, but upon me setting it down, the F major started playing itself 7 to 8 times. I shit everyone not, as by now I hope you all recognize I am not a bullshitter. The F major was the exact tone I was looking for. I realized the F major was instrumental in keeping us in vibrational harmony. A few days later someone on YouTube asked about solfeggio, so I did some research. Get this, I discovered the chakra points are connected to various frequencies, and the F major aligns to the heart chakra. This all snowballed from here. There are powerful messages of light and hope being provided to us in all sorts of ways, but most wonderfully through that of music, music of the heart and soul. Chris Allen, Vision of Love, had the same healing tones and lyrics about a spiritual revolution based upon the vibration of love. But it gets better. As I was channeling my heart frequency, I couldn't believe my ears, but the tones around me were changing, literally. The D-sharp pitch embedded in everything around me was now resonating at an F major. Now my mind was again challenging my heart, and I found that every time I tried to focus on it, and in my head rationalize it, it would revert back to a D hash. Again I was assaulted by these frequencies, so I have been on guard, but just as I have done at every pivotal point in my journey, just as I had recently accepted the healing tones in music, I let my heart dictate my actions, and I swear to you the tones changed. But it gets even better. I have received numerous messages about the need to harmonize with birds, along with embracing what doesn't quote-unquote make any sense. What the heck does that mean? Well, as soon as I dropped the mental barriers fully, and trusted my heart with the positive vibes, a miracle happened. The birds that have been stalking me for over a year now, their pitch was now resonating higher, at an F major. Of course I couldn't believe my ears, in which I struggled with this deeply. It simply did not make any quote-unquote sense. Bingo. That's B-I-N-G-O, and Bingo was his name. Oh. Every time my mind started to analyze the situation and think about this in a rational sense, the birds would resonate the D sharp again. When I let go of my mind and trusted my heart, they would resonate at a higher pitch, one which was in accordance with my own personal vibration. I then noticed the exact same effect on the synthesized sounds embedded in our environment when out in public: cash registers, notifications, and synthesized sounds, machinery, heck, even the sirens of emergency vehicles and airplanes, all of it. Again I went through an internal battle of mind over heart. Keep in mind I have gone through 14 months worth of these battles, in which my heart has led me down the path on every single occasion. I let go and followed my heart. I received an aggressive response from quote-unquote them, with birds and insects swarming me, doing whatever they could to get me to express fear of the sound, to get me to doubt what I was experiencing, and to distrust nature. And on the few occasions it caused me to hesitate and overthink things again with the logical mind. Again, during these bouts of doubt, the sounds would revert back to a D sharp. In the end, I now fully understand what this is all about. My experience has not been about shedding light on this hidden and dark influence present on this earth. It hasn't been about helping to unravel the mysteries of chemtrails, citing the precise science and physics of these liquid crystal formation, to enlighten folks about the anomalies of nature, or to break down the use of holographic technology in conjunction with orb structures. Heck, my experience isn't even about cracking the deepest of secrets in regards to this irradiation and mutation of the human race. It is, and always has been, about tapping into a part of the human essence which has been deliberately buried for millennia. It's about unleashing the power of the human heart. Modern-day physicists will all tell you that the world we live in is purely made up of vibration and frequency. In fact, it is only in meshing conflicting vibrational resonance where solid matter is interpreted in our minds. Our world is vibration, our world is sound. This all started with an awareness to the fact our race was under attack via subconscious sonic frequencies embedded all around us. It was about acceptance to the unthinkable. The way in which we as a race are going to get through this is by countering with our own frequency. It is about countering with the unthinkable. What starts with sound ends with sound. Look, I know putting faith in our hearts and vibrational resonance goes against everything we have been conditioned to think would be required to get through something like this. After all, we are a race, obsessed with war and conflict, in a world of competition, rewarded with logical and rational thinking, ridiculed and labeled otherwise. With our War of the Worlds, Battlestar Galactica, G.I. Joe, and Space Ghost, all that we know about how to overcome conflict is by generating more conflict. Look where it has gotten us. Look at the road in which this is taking us. This dark force has put forth unimaginable effort towards deception, literally thousands of years of keeping true knowledge hidden, while feeding us lie after lie. Do you really think this force would have gotten this far, controlling most all aspects of the modern world we live in, only to have the means to purge away their influence readily available for everyone to know? Do you think they would be pushing folks towards belief sets and institutions that would rid them of control? Do you think they would be allowing scientific discovery in regards to paranormal research and alternative theories of our existence? Do you think they would be open to otherworldly knowledge, as well as knowledge held by our ancient ancestors? Do you think they would put forth thousands of years of effort, only to keep around some sort of physical means for us to muscle our way through this? Come on, this dark force doesn't care what religion you are. They don't care how many guns you own. They don't care how many friends you have on Facebook. So what do they care about? Well, when this is all said and done, You will realize the magnitude of resources and effort they have put forth in their best attempts to suppress the knowledge I am sharing. They have even been willing to quote-unquote, come out of the closet, on countless occasions in an attempt to manipulate, discredit, intimidate, and invoke fear and distrust, literally coming out in the thousands. Why do you think it is I have such an abundance of extraordinary footage of the bizarre and paranormal, the vast majority of which I haven't even gotten around to view? Why would they take on such risks here and now? And lastly, how do you think it is a single individual would be able to come to such extraordinary knowledge which goes as vast as anyone could imagine down to the gnat's ass detail, all the while enduring through the suppression efforts executed by a force which physically appears to have everything in this world at its disposal? In the end, as I know from experience, the rational mind is going to challenge this knowledge every step of the way. But I also now fully remember what it is we are made of, along with the true potential of the human heart, translating in a physical sense to vibrational resonance which will change our world forever. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not about trying to decipher the word of the divine, initially spoken to invoke creation, into a man-made definition and language. This is about a universal utterance, a universal vibration, a universal sound. Once it is realized our world is all about vibration, and once our minds are in accordance with our hearts, it will be understood that the vibrational resonance from within us absolutely affects the vibrational resonance of our surroundings. Heck, even if you think about Hollywood, they are masters at invoking emotion via sound. Whether it is soft melodies to elicit a saddened response, an upbeat, up-tempo tune to express excitement or action, or a quartet in the chord of D sharp to elicit a sense of tension and anxiety, sound obviously has an effect on our state of being. How this has been forgotten, well, let's just say it has been intentionally removed from our awareness. Well, not anymore. Our internal vibrational resonance can absolutely affect the world around us, and I'm not just referring to this in a figurative sense, but in a literal physical sense. Everything around us is vibration. We are vibration. Drastic measures have been taken for centuries to throw us off of our natural resonance. In other words, we're being channeled external vibration to affect our state of being, but we have the power to reverse this and channel our internal vibration to affect the state of our external. Think about it, it actually makes sense. All we need to do is adjust the vibrational resonance ever so slightly with our surrounding environment, and presto, the actual makeup of our surrounding changes. This is what I have been put in this position for. This is why the birds and other tones in my surroundings are now in vibrational harmony. This is why this dark force cannot influence me. And if they cannot influence me when I'm resonating in this state, just think about what happens when we all are vibrating from the core of the human heart, in the tone of pure love. As Super Mario would say, and I quote, "So long, Big Bowser," and we have been granted the knowledge for all of us to get there. This is about letting go and forgetting all that we have known. Letting go of all that we think we know. This is about accepting possibility. This is about letting our imaginations run loose, losing our minds, and listening to our hearts. Overcoming this darkness is not about putting our minds together. It's not about putting our muscle together and fighting it out. This is a spiritual battle. This is a vibrational battle. And rest assured, although it is likely to get messier and convoluted down the road, just when you think hope may be lost, this is perfectly fine, as we are not meant to think anything. Listen to your hearts, as they will dictate otherwise. Humanity is destined to win this battle, and as time is but an illusion, reach deep into the core of your hearts and you will recognize this battle has already been won. Let me leave you with another unforgettable gift from Jason Mraz. Everything is sound. Spoken by Emma, a gift of sound to all of us. When there is love, I can't wait to talk about it. When things get rough, I like to walk with you. Or when it's night, I like to be the light that's missing. And remind you every minute of the future isn't written. Not yet. When there is love, or when the heart feels heavy, we can lighten it up if you've had enough. Well, you can empty your glass and we can fill it back up. You know it's up to us to make it all up. So what you making up? I can make it up back. You could be loved no matter what. and know the only time is right now. It's right where you are. You don't need a vacation when there's nothing to escape from. Let's all sing. Laying it down. Everything is sound. Let's sing to be happy, to feel things, to communicate, and be heard. Or sing out to protest, and to project, and to harmonize with birds. Yes, that's right, you need to project your voice and harmonize with birds. Whether it's your birthday or your dying day. It's a celebration too. Rejoice to use your voice and give wings to any of choice. Whatever you're choosing right now, it's right where you are. You don't need a vacation when there's nothing to escape from. Set your vibration and undulation to the highest it can go. Again, that's set your vibration to the highest it can go. And trust me, hear me. If it makes you wanna sing, just sing it. Let's all sing. Laying it down. Everything is sound. It's a song that I've forgotten often. It doesn't make me wrong. 'Cause we all need the darkness to see the light. Again, all of us need to see the darkness so that we can see the light. In our own eyes. Come on, and sing it. Again, let's all sing. Everything is sound. We're connected now. Everything is sound. We are all connected now. Everything is sound. Well shit, I'm out of breath. Folks, this is the real deal and we have done it. We are on a path to freedom, a path to a world full of imagination and possibility. It's time we all start losing our minds. As Jason Mraz put it best, we fucking did it. Take care, and God bless.